Zeke Talk. And as we do Zeke Talk today, let's first, before we shut it all down and eliminate the silliness by using facts, let's try to find the origin of the trade Ezekiel Elliott gossip, and let's see if there's any sense to be made of it at all. Mike Fisher reporting from Frisco, home of the Dallas Cowboys, the Star, right down the road. I think that I can fully understand the two reasons that the name of Ezekiel Elliott is brought up as trade fodder by, I'm going to say this nicely, casual Dallas Cowboys followers, which, by the way, doesn't generally include you, does it? One, he's coming off a year during which he did not contend for an NFL rushing title. And because Zeke has won two of those, that's kind of the expectation. And if you don't do that, then we get to say you're in decline. That's not unreasonable. Two, he is pricey. And spending big money on a running back is not exactly in vogue right now. But trading Ezekiel Elliott, and this comes from a source inside the building, is simply, gossip be damned, not the plan. Now, this is a never say never business. So watch me CYA here in a minute. But that's what they're telling me. Ironically, the reasoning, the same exact reason we just gave you, only applied differently. Performance and finance are the exact reasons why. First, Zeke's base salary this year, $9.6 million. Once you get past the headlines from 2 years ago, 6 years, $90 million. He's a $90 million running back. That's a headline grabber, no question. And $90 million running back who doesn't rush for 1,000 yards or whatever, that can be a weapon used against him. We can beat him and the Cowboys about the head and shoulders with a blunt instrument for 6 years, $90 million. That's a money thing right there. I will again say, but this year's base salary is $9.6 million. If Zeke is Zeke, if Zeke is Zeke and you win 11 games, good. I don't think anybody has a problem with that one. Additionally, an issue to wrestle with here. A pre-June 1 trade would trigger a $14.9 million cap charge for the Cowboys. So if you really traded him now, you would eat $15 million. I say this a lot about all these fantasy trades, try to help people understand. You just got to look at the cap ramifications and think about whether or not you really want to trade in your existing refrigerator, which works fine, for a different refrigerator that'll probably work the same, but you'll have to pay for it, meaning you'll be paying for the same refrigerator twice. If you move on from Cowboy X, Jalen Smith, Tyron Smith, Zeke Elliott, you have to replace them. And that costs money too. You have to eat their money and then replace them with more money. Now you're paying twice for the same guy. There's better ways. I'm not saying none of those things will ever happen, but there's better ways. So the pre-June 1 trade would trigger an almost $15 million cap charge for the Cowboys. Eat it. You want to do it post-June 1? You got to eat money, not as much, not the same way. But trade Zeke post-June 1, and now you don't, the draft pick that you're getting for him, you don't get to use it now. What's the point? Again, you want Zeke or do you want a future draft pick? All things considered, I want Zeke. One more thing about the money. Trade Zeke now, and his new team would be paying big money to a running back. You thought it was a bad idea, not you. But if you think it's a bad idea to pay running backs, and many do, and that's fine, you might end up right. You look at the Super Bowl last year, they didn't pay their running backs, neither of those teams, and they did just fine. So I get it. I get the argument. And I'll even agree with the argument. Except, once again, Jerry Jones, despite the fact that he has $8 billion, cannot afford a time machine. We can't go back and undo what was done. So we got to deal with what was done now. You understand why Jerry did it at the time. And Jerry was indeed a driving force. Zeke Elliott was a holdout. The Cowboys thought they were bidding for a Super Bowl. Let's get all our pieces in here. So that's what they did, and it cost them. So now we have to deal with the reality going forward. And my question for those who would say, trade Zeke because it's a bad idea for Dallas to pay a running back. Well, why would another team want to pay a running back if it's such a bad idea? Some other team's got to go take on a $10 million running back. Got to go take on the $90 million running back. If you think it's a bad idea, who thinks it's a good idea? Pro Football Talk writes, quote, "It's hard not to at least wonder whether former Ohio State coach Urban Meyer is thinking about trading for Elliott." That is, once again, and I'll use this analogy because we're all adults here, we're just throwing feces against the wall to see it'll stick. That if you can report that Urban Meyer is interested in trading for Zeke Elliott, you should report the hell out of that one. But you can't. So you say things like, it's hard not to at least wonder if. That's shaky. We all do some of that, but boy, we better frame it right. That is a clever way of tossing feces against the wall to see if it'll stick. And it's fun. That's a fun thought. A couple old Buckeyes. I have no doubt that Urban Meyer likes Zeke. I have no doubt that Zeke likes Urban Meyer. I think once at Ohio State, Zeke complained about the play calling or something. But I mean, overall, I assume the two of them are fans of each other. But now again, let's get past the gossip and let's look at the reality. You ever watch the Jaguars? They were bad last year. They don't plan on being bad this year. Who was their running back? James Robinson. What did he do out of nowhere? Rushed for 1,000 yards. 7 touchdowns for an awful Jaguars team. How much did he get paid? $700,000. His crappy rookie contract. Jacksonville seems to me like it already has a smart, more than adequate solution at running back. Have James Robinson play on a good team instead of a bad team, and I think he's just fine. We have reported in this space before, I've told you this before, there is no present Cowboys plan to trade Zeke. That can change. CYA. There is a consideration of a restructure that would create $6 million worth of room by flipping a switch that's already in Zeke's contract. Don't have to negotiate with him. Don't have to ask him. You just flip a switch. You could do that. If Jacksonville calls, let the plan change. Jacksonville wants to give me James Robinson and a pick for Ezekiel Elliott, and I figure out a way to afford it, which I can't, I'll listen. Cowboys have a chance at a big free agent signing and need more money, then that consideration of a restructure can come into play. As it stands, and we've reported this to you now for a couple weeks, Amari Cooper, flip the switch. Zach Martin, you can flip the switch. Those two seem pretty safe. Tank Lawrence, flip the switch. There's some risk there. Tyron Smith, flip the switch. There's some risk there. Tyron, by the way, on social media, did a yay Dak and put up a picture of himself and Dak. That's the closest we have to news saying that Tyron Smith is hip, hip, hooray for 2021. I'm hopeful. Those seem like better ideas than flipping a switch on Zeke, but they can. That would be the move. Not trading Zeke, flipping the switch on a restructure because you decided, oh, we can sign that guy over there, but we need $6 million? Flip the switch. Cowboys' optimal plan right now, again, pending that marvelous, mystical trade offer from some unknown team, is to get the best out of Zeke, who's 25. Get him better than he was a year ago after a bout with COVID. That may have been an issue. Get him better than he was without Dak Prescott, which absolutely was an issue. And maybe use him better. Coaching staff, figure out a way to use him better. So you can go and once again tap into the talents of a guy who was a 2-time rushing champion just a minute ago and cannot be dumped now. Fish out.